Let's talk about the part nobody prepares you for, the after. The paperwork might be done, the decision might be final. Your friends might say, you'll be fine, you're going to be okay. But your mind is still sitting there like, WTF? Wait, is this for real? If you're watching this and you feel numb, foggy, or like you're watching your own life from the outside, first of all, you are not broken, you are human. Divorce is not just a legal event, it is a psychological earthquake. And I want to start with something really important. Even if the divorce was the right decision, even if you initiated it, even if you know you're better off, your nervous system still experiences it as a major loss, like a death in the family. So, in this video, I'm going to walk you through what's happening psychologically after the divorce, why it can feel like you lost yourself, and exactly how to rebuild your identity using a blend of Buddhist philosophy, positive psychology, and more. And if you stay till the end, I'm going to give you a simple 30-day reset plan that you can actually follow, even if you're exhausted, overwhelmed, and don't know where to start. Grief you didn't expect. Here's the first big truth. Divorce brings grief. Even when you don't think you have the right to grieve, people assume grief is only for death. But divorce includes multiple invisible losses. Your loss of your daily rhythm, your loss of shared identity as we, your loss of certain dreams you thought you were guaranteed, your loss of the future story that lived inside of you. And the future story loss, that one hits deep. Because a lot of us don't just marry a person, we marry a narrative. We marry the version of ourselves we thought we'd become. The home, the holidays, the one day we'll, or when we finally. So after the divorce, it's common to feel strange emptiness that does not make sense. Because what you're mourning isn't just the relationship, you're mourning your imagined life. The mind can really get cruel here. And it could say things like, why can't you just move on? Other people have it worse. You chose it, so stop complaining. But grief doesn't respond to logic. Grief responds to compassion, processing, and time. And if you don't let grief move through you, it turns into something else. Bitterness, anxiety, depression, numbness, even addiction. Which brings me to something personal. I went through a divorce about 10 years ago, and I'm not going to dramatize it. I will tell you the truth. It wasn't just hard emotionally, it was hard mentally, spiritually, physically. There were stretches where I didn't even recognize myself. I dealt with mental health struggles. I used alcohol as a way to cope because it worked in the short term. It quieted the noise, it shut off the pain, and it gave me a few hours where I didn't have to feel the weight of what just happened. It also took more than it gave. The turning point for me was what actually helped me climb out of it was a combination of psychology and Buddhism. And again, Buddhism not as a religion that you have to join, but Buddhist philosophy, psychology, a practical understanding of suffering, attachment, and the mind. And not psychology as to fix yourself, but positive psychology, the science of meaning, strength, resilience, and identity rebuilding. Because one of the hardest part of divorce is identity collapse. You're not just asking, why did my marriage end? You're also asking, who am I? That one question can feel terrifying because your identity was stitched into roles. You were a spouse, a partner, a provider, a teammate. You were like the married one, the stable one, the one who has it all together. So when relationship ends, it's like your brain goes, if I'm not that, then what am I? And it can feel like you're standing in a blank room. That blank room is not the end, it is the beginning. But we have to learn how to rebuild. Let's name the three most common mind traps after the divorce. Number one is rumination. This is an endless mental replay. What did I miss? What did they mean? What if I said something differently? What if I stayed? Or what if I left sooner? Rumination feels like problem solving, but it's usually your brain trying to regain control. Trap number two is shame. Shame sounds like I failed, I'm unlovable, I'm behind, I messed up my life. Shame doesn't want you to heal, shame wants you to hide. Trap number three is blame loops. So sometimes it's blaming them, sometimes it's blaming yourself, sometimes it flips back and forth, and it drains your energy because blame keeps you tied to the past. And here's the key, these loops are not proof that you are weak. They prove that your mind is trying to make sense of a painful rupture. In Buddhism, this is described as the mind's tendency to grasp at certainty when life is uncertain. So again, let me say it again. So it's the mind's tendency to grasp certainty, like it wants something fixed, when life is uncertain, like in chaos. We don't like not knowing. We don't like ambiguity, like not clear. So the mind creates stories, and the stories can become cages. Let's talk about suffering, because this is where Buddhist philosophy can get incredibly helpful. In Buddhism, suffering isn't just pain. Suffering is what happens when we cling, when we grip tightly something that we cannot control. So divorce is a direct confrontation with impermanence. Things change, people change, life changes, and the mind says, no, 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 no. This is not how it's supposed to be. That sentence right there, this is not how it's supposed to be, is often the core of post-divorce suffering. Now, careful. Acceptance doesn't mean you approve of what happened. Acceptance means you stop fighting reality. Because fighting reality is exhausting and it keeps you stuck. So, simple Buddhist practice here. Notice when you are clinging. Ask yourself, what am I insisting must be true for me to be okay? What outcome am I gripping onto? What identity am I trying to keep alive? What story am I refusing to release? This is not about blaming yourself for clinging. This clinging is human. It's your mind trying to protect you. But when you see it clearly, you can soften that grip. And when you soften that grip, you make space for a new life. Now let's shift to rebuilding. Because understanding is powerful, but rebuilding is freedom. Positive psychology has a concept that helps a lot here. You don't find yourself, you build yourself. So after divorce, identity rebuilding happens through 3 pillars. Pillar number 1 is values. Values are your internal compass, not goals, not achievements. Values are how you want to live. So example of this is like honesty, peace, courage, growth, kindness, stability, freedom, devotion to family, and health. So when life collapses, values become the foundation. So quick practice, write down 5 values you want to guide for your next chapter. Not what your ex wanted, not what society wanted, what you want. Pillar number 2 is about strengths. Divorce can make you focus only on what went wrong. Strength work helps you reconnect with what's still right inside of you. So ask yourself, when have I been resilient before? What do people come to me for? What part of me kept going even when it hurt? Your strengths are not just traits, they are tools. Pillar number 3 is about meaning. Meaning doesn't mean this was good. Meaning means I can grow from this. Meaning is the difference between I am ruined and I am becoming. Stabilize your nervous system. Before we talk about big life goals, we need to stabilize your system. Divorce dysregulates your nervous system. It can trigger fight, flight, or freeze, things that you've probably heard of. So if you're having racing thoughts, panic, insomnia, emotional numbness, sudden crying spells, irritation, or even brain fog, that's not you being dramatic. That's your body processing the threat and the loss. So here are 3 simple grounding practices I recommend. Practice number 1, 60-second breathing reset. Inhale slowly for 4, exhale for 6, and do that for 1 minute. The longer exhale tells your body, I am safe. Practice number 2 is about labeling your emotions. Say, this is grief, this is fear, this is shame. Naming reduces the intensity because it engages the thinking part of your brain. Practice number 3, 1 small anchor routine. Pick 1 daily anchor you never skip. A morning walk, tea in silence, journaling, stretching, short meditation. For me, it was the gym. So when everything feels unstable, an anchor routine tells your brain life continues. Boundaries with your ex. Now, one of the biggest identity traps after divorce is staying emotionally merged with your ex. Even if you're not together, you can still be psychologically attached through things like texting, checking social media, reliving conversations, using mutual friends as information sources, debating the past. If you share kids, you may need that contact, but contact can still have boundaries. Try this rule. Communicate like a coworker you respect, but don't emotionally attach to. So practice boundaries, like keeping messages short, factual, and neutral. Don't argue in text. Don't relitigate the relationship. And if you feel activated, pause before replying. Because every time you re-enter the emotional battlefield, your healing resets to day one. If you're using alcohol to cope, I want to speak carefully here because this is sensitive and also very common. After my divorce, I used drinking as a way to cope. And here's the honest truth. Alcohol wasn't the real problem at first. Alcohol was a solution I found for pain I didn't know how to hold. So if you're using alcohol more than you want right now, don't start with shame. Start with curiosity. What is alcohol doing for me? Usually it's one of these things like numbing, calming anxiety, helping you fall asleep, escaping the loneliness, and turning off that intrusive thoughts. Once you know the job it's doing, you can find healthier replacement. So for example, if you have a hard time sleeping, build a sleep routine. If it's anxiety, breathing, grounding, and movement. Like I used to go to the gym often. If it's loneliness, structured social time, even if it's small, with coworkers, friends, relatives, whoever. If it's intrusive thoughts, things like journaling, a thought container practice. And here's a simple replacement tool. Before you drink, do a 10-minute delay. During that delay, do one regulating action. Shower, walk, calling someone safe, or taking 10 deep breaths. Just write down what you're feeling. Sometimes you'll still drink, and that's information, not failure. But over time, you train your brain, I can survive this feeling without the numbing. And if alcohol is becoming hard to control, please involve support, whether that's a therapist, support group, or someone you trust. You don't have to white knuckle this all alone. Okay, here's a simple 30-day plan, I promise. I want this to be doable. So week one, we're going to talk about stability. So goal here is to calm your system. So things like daily breathing reset, daily anchor routine, and reducing the emotional triggers. Things like looking at social media, late night spirals, drinking late into the night to get rid of all that emotional triggers. Week two is about reconnecting. So here we want to rebuild the inner connection. So journaling 5 minutes a day. What do I feel? List the top 5 values. Do one nourishing action daily. Week 3 is about rebuilding because we want to create structure. So pick 2 micro goals for the week, very tiny. Walk maybe 3 times a week. Maybe cook 2 meals at home. Apply for a job. Go to 1 class. Week 4 is about expanding. So stepping into the new identity. Do 1 future self action. So for example, join a group, schedule therapy or coaching, start a hobby, update your routine, creating a personal mission statement. So this entire point of this is your new identity is built through repeated evidence, not through big breakthroughs, but evidence stacks. And tiny wins, they compound. So when you wake up one day and realize, I am not who I was, and I am okay. The new chapter identity. You're not starting from zero. You're starting over with experience. Divorce can strip away that illusion. It can expose the wounds, it can humble you, but it can also return you to yourself. So in Buddhist practice, there's the idea of beginner's mind. It means like meeting life fresh, without the heavy grip of past stories. So after a divorce, beginner's mind is powerful because it gives you the permission to become. Not just rush into I am fine, not to pretend it didn't hurt, but slowly, gently, intentionally rebuild. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just need the true next step. Check out the description and the pinned comment below for helpful resources on this topic. And if you want a guided path for rebuilding your identity, especially if you feel lost after divorce, career changes, hitting a milestone like turning 30, 40, 50, check these resources because I will include tools, next steps that match what we talked about today. Listen, you are not alone in this. Your next chapter can be calmer, clearer, and more you than ever.